Have you ever wanted to build your own application or SaaS but felt overwhelmed by all the complexities, or maybe even started and gave up halfway as new issues kept popping up? That's exactly where I was for a long time, constantly adding features, thinking they'd make the app better, but instead making the process much harder and more overwhelming. In this video, I'll show you how I built my app in 1 week by focusing on a single feature and avoiding a lot of unnecessary ones, and why you should too. Firstly, welcome to the channel. My name is Adrian and I'm here to help you learn C# and .NET on your own. So I decided to build an app or SaaS where developers could easily store and reuse their code snippets to help them build projects faster. This was a problem I had experienced myself as I was storing a lot of code in a Google Docs file or constantly opening old projects to find something I needed. Initially, I got excited and brainstormed a ton of features. Handling how code snippets are created and saved, implementing templates for users, adding user authentication, email verification, creating a section for users to manage their account data, even making an option to share a link, allowing others to edit the code. I wanted a fancy UI where users could categorize their code with a drag and drop feature, but the list kept growing. Every time I thought about the app, something new came to mind. I'd feel like the app wasn't complete and kept adding more features, thinking that would make it better. But in reality, I was just making it harder for myself to finish. The more features I added, the more complicated the app became, and I realized I was trapped in a feature overload. Then it hit me. This app would take forever to finish, and I wasn't even sure if people would care about all these features I was adding. No matter how many features an app has, most users choose it for one specific thing, that core functionality that solves their problem. So I had to stop myself. Instead of building everything at once, I decided to focus on the minimal amount of functionality my app needed to be useful. This shift changed everything. By focusing on one feature, I could build the app faster and validate my idea with minimal resources. If it worked and people liked it, I could always expand and improve it later. And if it didn't, well, I wouldn't have wasted months of my time adding things nobody really wanted. So I started coding and implemented user authentication in my app and integrated an external library to better manage code snippets. Users could create, read, update, or delete their stored code and see when they created it and when it was last updated. I also added templates with pre-filled code for users who didn't want to start from scratch, and that was basically it in terms of the app's features. Next, of course, I created a landing page with a few sections, encouraging users to sign up, highlighting common mistakes they were making by not using the app, and showcasing the app's features. At the end, I also linked to my course on how I built the app, which was my plan for monetizing the SaaS. Instead of charging users to use the app, they could access it for free, and I would market my course while they were using it. I had this idea that it would be cool if, while using an app or SaaS, users had the option to learn how it was built so they could create something similar themselves. Also, the fact that my audience is in the learning stage and more likely to invest in education played a role in this decision. Now, don't get me wrong, you still have to put in a lot of work to build this. You'll need to set up the database, optimize data operations, ensure everything functions correctly and securely, design the app, deploy it, assign domain and subdomain names, and maintain it with the right hosting configurations. But this approach is more practical, fun, and easier for creating a finished product. If you spend 6 months working on something overly complex only to realize it was the wrong idea and no one wants it, you might wish you'd made several smaller projects in that time. I'd argue you'd have learned more and would be clear on the next step as well, whether to keep one of those projects or apply what was missing to the next SaaS. By the way, you can find both my SaaS and my course on how I built it in the links in the description below. All in all, my recommendation for you when you're building your SaaS or app is to keep it simple. Focus on solving one core problem with a single main feature. This will help you avoid overwhelm, get your product out faster, and make improvements later when you have feedback from users. If you enjoyed this, I highly recommend watching the next video in the series on building a SaaS, which should appear on the screen. Hit like and subscribe for more content like this, and I'll see you in the next one.